This last year, we had a water loss situation where the property that was involved, I should say there was a mental illness situation where somebody turned on their water and wouldn't turn it off. So we needed to turn the water off to that stack. We found out that things were not properly labeled. They thought they turned it off, didn't turn off that stack, and instead turned off a different one. And then, as a result, realized that they ended up needing to shut off the water to the whole building to kind of save more extensive water damage.
Labeling the shutoffs is critically important. If you take a high rise, let's just say it's a 15-story building, the difference between 15 minutes of water running from the top floor versus 30, how many gallons of water from a 2-inch pipe flow in a minute, you'll be absolutely shocked whether it's a 2-inch or 3-inch pipe.
In one night, I had almost 60 claims in 14 states. And I made one call to Steve and his group, and I made one call to my insurance adjuster, who was an adjuster licensed in 36 states. Luckily, all mine were in them. And, you know, it was a great experience considering it was a bad experience. But that initial planning was...
So, gentlemen, based on the conversations we had lately, we want to open our council to experts from the field, to experts, to people that do, certain things on a daily basis. Like right there, today, topic of the conversation being water prevention, disaster prevention, and then, water mitigation. I thought that it'll be good for us to introduce some experts, welcome them. And also there's certain things that, we want to do in the future. Definitely partnerships with supplier partners, will be needed. We're stronger together, and this is just the beginning. So I'm very excited to welcome Steve, Tyler, and we also have Grayson. So I'm going to start. I want you to take maybe 90 seconds each, about 90 seconds each, to introduce yourselves, all of you. I'm just gonna call you out one at a time. We're gonna start with our special guest today, and then we'll go around the room and, we'll introduce, our regular members so they know whom they're talking with. Just kind of, get rolling. So, Steve Sorkin.
Sure.
You're first.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. Welcome, everybody. My name is Steve Sorkin from Cotton, and my colleague Tyler Hillman is on as well. Tyler's down in Texas, and I'm up here in Boston. First thing I want everyone to know is that we understand you've been talking about AI, and Cotton has hired robots to do all our work moving forward. We no longer have any employees. It's strictly robots. We have 900 robots that do all the work. So our presentation's over. Just kidding. We have no robots and so forth, but I want to share that. Cotton is I'm from Boston. I cover accounts, mostly multifamily for the last 18 years, East Coast to West Coast, down south, up north. I've been very involved with NAA since 2010. I was the chairman of the National Suppliers Council 2 years ago. Now I am the past president, but that's been most of my experience. Familiar with a lot of the different companies that are on the email list. So what does Cotton do? We're headquartered in Houston. We put people back in business when they're out of business. It doesn't really matter what the case is. It could be water damage, fire. It could be smoke. It could be mold. It could be asbestos. It could be training. We have a whole training program that we do 12 months a year and so forth. And it could be any of those things. The other thing that we do is something that our biggest client is FEMA, but we have apartment association, multifamily clients. If any of you, who's seen the show Landman? Raise your hand. Landman. It comes on after Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So the camps that those guys live in, we create temporarily. 30-day minimum. It could go up to a year. There was a time in July 8th, we had 11 camps going in the country. We had 3 in New Mexico for the wildfires. We had 7 in Texas because 13,000 linesmen had to drive in because the power was out for 3 weeks and it was 98 degrees on a cool day. that makes 10. The 11th was at the Baltimore Bridge that went down, and that was just a food camp, but that was going for about 10 months. So it can be temporary housing, culinary, portable bathrooms, showers, restrooms. We've also provided some of this at Hurricane Helene in it was either Asheville or Boone, North Carolina, for the apartment world. At the end of the day, we're here to help. We have some clients that call us with a one-off. We don't have any agreement with them. They say, hey, I heard about you. I have a water damage. It's small. It's one unit. Can you help us? Of course we can. We do a lot of very small jobs. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have MSAs, master service agreements, and they're not exclusive, but they're master service agreements. So the whole legal dialogue is all taken care of before we show up. And we have that as well. And if any of you have any interest, Adrian, he sent an email the other day. Send me your headshot and your phone number and all that. I'll be happy to put that on. In the last 20 seconds, Tyler, you have something to add, sir?
Thanks, Steve. You did a good job at covering it. Ultimately, we're a partner to you guys. Steve and I both live in the multifamily world, so we understand the challenges that can come with that. I know you guys have day-to-day jobs to do that don't include a water damage or a fire. So when we come in and support you guys on projects, our goal is to take that away from you. Obviously, we're going to keep you in communication. You're going to know what's going on. But we want to complete that task for you while you remain on task with your other things to do. Like Steve said, we do more $1,500 jobs and $150,000 jobs, right? We're a partner, a true turnkey provider, one call, one-stop shop type deal. And we look forward to meeting y'all and growing with this, what I hear is a growing platform. And as Steve mentioned, familiar with a lot of the groups in here. We've worked with a lot of y'all. And for those that we haven't, we look forward to the opportunity to potentially helping y'all down the road. So thanks for having us on.
Grayson, are you in a position to turn your camera on?
Yeah, so my name is Grayson. I am an account manager for Belfour Property Restoration going on 3 years. I started here at Belfour as a junior at ASU. I graduated in May of 2023 and then kind of got thrust right into the world of restoration. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, Belfour Property Restoration is one of the leaders in disaster recovery and property restoration. We specialize in fast, reliable, and efficient services for multifamily properties, whether that's dealing with, the typical water, fire, mold, or storm damage, or if it's, something along the lines of repairs, reconstruction. We're also a full service general contractor. We understand the challenges of maintaining tenant satisfaction and minimizing disruptions. And our team is dedicated to restoring the property to its pre-loss condition as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Belfour has been around for a long time with, we have decades of experience in advanced technology, and a commitment to quality work and satisfactory work. We're your go-to partner for managing restoration projects at multifamily communities, commercial properties, municipalities, universities, etc. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Welcome. We have a few newcomers. I want to start with Dwayne Underwood. Welcome to the group, sir. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a few words about yourself.
So my name is Dwayne Underwood. I'm with Hawthorne Residential Partners out of Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm the regional service director for our Florida, Southeast Georgia, Southeast Carolina territory. Been in property management for 32 years. Came in on the facility size with Sears Roebuck all the way back in 1984, and have been in the apartment industry for the past 28 years. I've chaired on a couple of AAGO boards, as well as SWAFA boards with the associations, and I was actually a contributor to the AAGO education board at one period of time. Now I'm plenty busy enough with Hawthorne, so I don't get as much time to volunteer for the associations like I used to.
Well, we're glad you're here. Welcome. Hopefully you'll find the time to come back to our next meetings. Derek Ramirez, you're up next, sir.
Going. I'm the National Director of Maintenance for Simpson Housing. Like probably a lot of you guys, I started from the ground up. Started as a porter, out of necessity, right, to make ends meet, and I just fell in love with the industry, and I found my way here. We haven't had this position ever. We haven't even had as much of as a regional maintenance position. So this is new for us, and I really look forward to kind of hearing your guys' thoughts and learning from all you guys. So,
Well,
good to meet you.
welcome. Excited to have you here. Jose Murillo, you're up next, sir. It's your first time, right?
It is, Adrian. It is. How's it going? Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Murillo. I am with Greystar Regional Maintenance Manager in the desert region. I oversee all of New Mexico's maintenance side of the house when it comes to the regional maintenance sections, overseeing operations, compliance, training, things of that nature, just like you all. And got started in the industry back in the early 2000s, little break of time, got out of it, came back, and then went to the trades for a bit. And then got sucked back into multifamily housing, of course, and which is a good thing. Definitely love what I'm doing, and glad to be able to get some time actually to jump on here with you all and collaborate, learn, just really brainstorm and again, as I've told you, Adrian, love what you're doing and just advocating for our tradesmen and all of us in this industry.
Well, we appreciate the help. There'll be a lot of outreach that you will see within the next, 3 to 6 months. Because, obviously there's power in numbers. So we're trying to get more of our peers to join the group, to join the council. At the same time, we started this initiative to accept service providers, as partners to our group. And then, based on the topics that we have, we're going to invite 2, 3 experts each meeting. I think, is very, very helpful. And, also we could do great things together. Jason Big Dog, you're up next, sir. Welcome.
Okay. My name is Jason Simpson. I'm with Greystar, and I need to change my Zoom login name, apparently. I'm a service supervisor down in Midland, Texas. I serve on the board of directors for our local apartment association, where I'm also the EPA instructor. And I'm shooting to be a CAMT instructor, hopefully within the next couple of years as well. Also served this last year as one of the TAA vice presidents for the Texas Apartment Association through the Emerging Leader Program.
Well, welcome, sir. Scott Floyer, you're up next, sir.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, everybody. Scott Ployer. I am the president of National Property Management Strategies Group. For the better part of 34 years, I worked in the field with all of you guys for some of the country's greatest management companies. Got a lot of experience in the field. I've been involved with NAA for over 20 years. I'm a perennial speaker at NAA events, teaching some of the organization's programs up here in New England and in the Mid-Atlantic, and have welcomed the opportunity to be part of this group when Adrian came up with it. I think it's imperative that we, as leaders in our sector, pass the baton and bring people along. So this group, is not meant to necessarily compete with each other. It's meant to collaborate and complement each other, because no one of us is as smart as all of us. And I think we can be the leading force on the facilities and maintenance side of our industry, by just doing what we're doing, sharing our thoughts and best practices and experience. So thank you all for being here today, and especially the new folks that joined.
Yeah, I see a lot of head nodding while you were talking, so that's amazing. I think we're all on the same page. We all come from a good spot, trying to better ourselves and each other as a group, and the industry, and moving it forward. JR, you're up next.
All right, so I'm JR Shirley. I'm a traveling facilities operations manager. I work for Cardinal Group Real Estate Services, but I travel to our properties that we manage under the management group, basically whatever hiring, Right now, I'm on a build to rent, doing the construction walks, making sure that all of them are up to the standard they're supposed to be at. And I've been in the industry 15 years now. I've been on both sides, maintenance supervisor. I've been a regional facilities and also a contractor. So now I'm back to multifamily.
Welcome back. Scott Peters, you're up next.
Hi, Scott Peters. I'm with Con-Am Management. I'm the Vice President of Property Services. We have about 450, 460 properties nationwide, about 60,000 units. So I'm kind of responsible for all the CapEx, interior renovations, and then we have our own regional breakdowns across the country, about 13 different regions. Been doing this almost 30 years and started as a painter. So just like many of you on this call. And yeah, this has been a great group. I've never seen a group like this before, and it's great to interact and be able to see others in our industry and start making contacts that we can lean on. Because like Scott Ployer said, nobody in this room is the smartest guy, but all of us together, we can figure just about anything out.
Welcome back, Scott. Thank you for participating, for the support and everything. Jake, you're up next.
Hey, yeah, I'm a multi-site supervisor for Thrive Residential up here in the Seattle area. I'm overseeing a little over 700 units right now. I've been in the industry for 18 years and actually just become on the investment side of it. So we got our first property down in Arizona. So exciting to kind of be on that end of things. I have to mirror a lot of what you guys are saying. I think this group will kind of lead to show that maintenance just isn't a job, that it actually is like a career path. And, we are like an electrician, like we are a trade itself, So, and I think really by getting together and showing this, we're not going to just be that like underdog industry that we seem to come across sometimes. So I'm kind of excited to see us and where we can grow and, we can show what our industry and what we do is about.
Welcome back, Jake and Peter. You're up next, sir.
Thanks for having me. Peter Christensen, work for Center Space Homes. We are based out of Minneapolis, but we have properties as far as Billings, Montana, and Denver, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska as well. Director of maintenance and purchasing for them. So kind of responsible for a lot of preventive maintenance and going as far as like vendor relationships and all that good stuff with our primary MROs.
Welcome back, Peter. Oscar.
Hello, everyone. Oscar, I'm here in the LA area where the fires are. But luckily, we're good. I'm in Orange County, which is in the middle between LA and San Diego County. We're doing good, but there's some people that are being affected by everything going on right now. So there's still some winds going on at the moment. But anyways, I started as a maintenance worker, did all the positions in property management into becoming a CPM. I own my own management firm, and currently I'm working to become an instructor for the international program for IREM, the Institute of Real Estate Management for Maintenance Operations and Risk Management, and also involved with the National Association as well. And I have become recently an advocate about education, especially in our industry, trying to push for that, be the voice for those that need it the most. So currently, right now, I'm becoming part of the outreach program between a partnership between IREM and the National Association of Apartments. They're coming up with a new plan, a new program where they want to be able to bring more acknowledgement to our industry so that we can train better and we can do better and look for valuable colleagues like us. Like I mentioned, I'm an advocate, especially when it comes to maintenance operations, because this is the key. This is the foundation of what we do. So it's very important that we all work together. And I think I mirror everything that you guys share. I share the same thoughts you guys share about working together, that we all come from somewhere. Some of us came in accidentally into the industry and some others fell in love with this, right? And here we are and we love what we do. But working together, we can do some really good impact with the leadership of Adrian, and we can start bringing the best minds here and work together so we can continue to grow our industry and, most importantly, make the maintenance operation be acknowledged and validated for what it is, because that's really what we need. Because without it, our industry doesn't work.
Well, welcome back, Oscar, and I love your passion. I just wanted to share that, I plan 2 weeks from now to discuss exclusively maintenance education, best practices, solutions. on a first meeting we had 2 weeks ago, first meeting for the year, I said, I want for this year for us to find challenges, bumps in the road, but also I wanted to make it like a year where we discuss solutions. Because I think, everybody kind of like knows what the pains are, but then let's come up with, with some solid, great stories, amazing stories to share with the group, and then solutions, that stuff that we've done that worked in the past. So kind of like, share best practices here. With that being said, I want to start and first like go on a prevention side, right? Before we have a disaster, we're facing a disaster. Like, what are some things to prevent a disaster? And I think Peter has a really cool story that happened. I was somehow like not involved, but I made some connections right there, and I think it turned out pretty cool. And I think you guys would like to hear that. So, Peter.
Are you kind of talking about the maps, Adrian? Is that where?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So this last year we had a water loss situation where the property that was involved, I should say there was a mental illness situation where somebody turned on their water and wouldn't turn it off. So we needed to turn the water off to that stack. We found out that things were not properly labeled. They thought they turned it off, didn't turn off that stack, and said turned off a different one. And then as a result, realized that they ended up needing to shut off the water to the whole building to kind of save future or more extensive water damage. From that, it kind of went on a little bit of a mission to create an emergency response plan, or ERP, or emergency action plan, depending on how you want to look at that, in a digital platform, and something that's editable by sites. So from that, I've found a couple companies that I've spoken with. I haven't decided on anything yet, but there are some pretty good interactive maps for emergency action plans that can be available. One of them is Restoration ERP. They have interactive editable map. One of the restoration companies here in Minneapolis uses them, and they actually would let us use that platform for free. I've been in talks with them to kind of see what that plan would cost per thing. And then AppWork is another one that they actually developed a very impressive format as well, an interactive map. So I mean, I'm open to questions to explain a little bit more about it, but it's kind of like you imagine. It's a database where you can scan a QR code from a physical site. You can touch in the number, unit 217, and then it pulls up all your emergency shutoffs for that unit, your gas, your water, and everything involved. So, and then it'll tell the location, show a picture, description, and contact information if necessary. So you can have it for your fire sites or your individual properties that share on call, and so forth.
Yeah, that's some amazing information right there. I think that one of the things when we take over a site, whether it's like our first day on a job or the company purchases, or takes over management on a property, one of the first things we would like to have handy is the water shutoffs, and more often than not, they aren't there, and that's a problem, right? How many times we ran into situations like that. I used to be service manager of a property that actually didn't have individual shutoff for the building, so for the smallest water line leak, you had to shut off the whole property. That was not a pleasant experience, but we pushed the ownership to actually install shutoff valves. There's no way to operate 300 units, and every time you had a leak to shut off, drain the entire property. That was it was a very interesting time. I do wanted to maybe allow those of you that have some experiences, with prevention, any type of, fire prevention, or pipe freeze prevention, or flood prevention, to kind of use the option. There's a hand raising option right there on the on the bottom of the screen, to kind of use it and just kind of run with it while you're getting ready. to be the next, I wanted to say that I ran into companies that are doing an amazing job at having a system of sensor installed, right? And they could be like temperature sensors that they have installed in a kitchen, so they detect when there's a possible fire, and they notify the management, hey, you might have a fire in this unit, check it out. Or pipe freeze, temperature sensors installed on water or fire suppression water lines that are actually telling management, the temperature is below 40 degrees, the water temperature in a pipe, get ready for a freeze. You might want to shut off the water and do fire watch versus waiting for them to burst, and then you're gonna have millions of dollars worth of damage, and you had to do fire watch. So pick your poison. Is it one or is both? So many other that are installed also, like in various areas, wet areas, toilets, under the sinks, that also notify management when there's a leak in progress, so it doesn't become a moldy issue, things of that nature. So any of you have any great experiences to share here with the group?
I think Peter, right, hit it on the head, or you did, Adrian, both of you. Labeling the shutoffs is critically important. If you take a high rise, let's just say it's a 15-story building, the difference between 15 minutes of water running from the top floor versus 30, you can actually look it up. I don't want to take the time to do it the second, of how many gallons of water from a 2-inch pipe flow in a minute. You'll be absolutely shocked, whether it's a 2-inch or 3-inch pipe. The statistics are easy to find. And it's not just the maintenance supervisor. It's if it's a 300-unit building, you're going to have 3 or 4 people, including the maintenance supervisor. They all have to know, and I'm probably saying what you guys know. They all have to know day one where it is. And something that some of our clients have done that we spoke to is show them where everything is, and 3 days later give them a quiz. Sit down, tell us exactly where the shutoffs are, and do the same with the property manager, the assistant manager, and the leasing manager, so everyone in the building knows. That's one thing. Heat. I'm sitting here in Boston. It's 8 degrees. We probably have less damage than Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, and all those right now because we're a little more used to it. But we've received 4 calls today from commercial clients. We want temporary heat. Make sure that you have either a restoration company or a direct line into Sunbelt or Herc, where you are on a chosen list, where you're going to get that support. This client just called us when I was getting on the call. We need temporary heat immediately. And I said, do you have a relationship with a Sunbelt? No. Okay, we do. Let's get back to you in 15 minutes, and someone else is handling it for me, because the heat is very important. The final thing is, I think why we're all here today is the education component. I mentioned that Tyler and I work at Cotton. That's true. The company that I lead is called 24 Restore. We were acquired by Cotton 13 months ago. And when Cotton acquires you, you keep your name. So we're still called 24 Restore. We have something called 24 University, which is free for anyone in multifamily. And I'm not here to promote it. If you want to know more about it, let me know. But the courses that we teach, one a month, is mold remediation, asbestos awareness. We teach live OSHA 10 classes, OSHA 30, ice dam prevention for the people up north or the people down south today. And the favorite class of people is what to do while waiting for the restoration company to come. You have a big flood in your building, 11 units are affected. You call the restoration company, they'll be there in 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, depending on who they are and how busy they are. What can you guys do during that period of time? So I encourage you, whether it's on this platform or NAA or IRM, NAMA, to have your guys all properly educated, and they'll learn so much from that. Thank you.
Scott Player, you're one of our, you're one of our veterans here. Any tips when it comes to preventing, not getting to the, water mitigation part?
Absolutely. Training and education is pivotal. As a trainer myself, getting out there and sharing this information with our team, with our colleagues, with our industry is the imperative. I'll give an example of what happened to me back in 2013 with Snowmageddon. And I was responsible for a portfolio of properties in 14 states. I was vice president of facilities, capital planning, and construction. And because I had been through this before with, having almost 39 years in the property management world, I knew enough to partner ahead of time. So I had a master service agreement with the company that Steve worked for before, and they were able to put me in touch with the restoration contractors in all the states that I needed them. In one night, I had almost 60 claims in 14 states. And I made one call to Steve and his group, and I made one call to my insurance adjuster, who was an adjuster licensed in 36 states. Luckily, all mine were in them. And, it was a great experience considering it was a bad experience. But that initial planning was pivotal to the point where Units Magazine actually picked up the story and put it in Units Magazine. About knowing your infrastructure, knowing who to call, knowing your partners. Why do we tell people to call animal shelters when there's an event on a property? Well, not every hotel takes dogs, cats, birds, or reptiles. So, having that information readily available in a safety plan as well as a recovery plan. So I just think that, all of us do this with our teams with regularity. And that's part of what we do. It's part of our job description. But there's a lot of new folks in this industry. I have a friend at Satisfax who said that about 55% of our industry over the last 5 years are brand new. They've come from other sectors. They've come from hospitality. They've come from the trades, but they're new to PM. And, property management is a world into and of itself. And for those of us who've been around a while, there's probably not much we haven't seen. But for a lot of the new folks, getting this information and having it available is key. So a digitization of plans and specifications and scope, that's great if you can do it. If not, the old-fashioned paper way is still a way to go. I walk into a lot of rooms when I do assessments, and there's a box of blueprints against the wall. I just have to hope the ones we need are in there. But the pre-planning is part of all of this. So that's what I really like about this group is that we can share these experiences and best practices, for the good of the entire industry.
Yeah, definitely great points out there. Scott, thank you for sharing. Derek, I see that your hand is up. Please, sir. And
So
then Dwayne, you're going to be next.
Speaking of sharing, coming from Texas, we the first big freeze I went through was, I believe it was 2020. Tyler, is that about right? And it hit us pretty hard because our grid went down. My question to all you northern boys, the guys that have been, that are 8 degrees right now, is when do you guys make that decision on the fire systems, whether it's dry, wet, or antifreeze system? Where's the point that you guys decide to drain, right? Those non-protected wet systems. I mean, we always have that conversation back and forth. It's cheap to refill, but then we have to go on fire watch. But it's a lot cheaper than an insurance claim. So where do you guys draw the line in those regions?
Scott, you want to start that off and I'll pick it up after you?
Sure. Again, having active relationships with all of your service contractors, including your fire sprinkler company, your fire pump, if they happen to be different companies, being Nostradamus, looking in the crystal ball and knowing what's coming, having these preemptory conversations with these contractors ahead of time. They know your system well. maybe even better than we know our own systems, because they're only focusing on one piece of a master system. But knowing what's out there, knowing what could potentially freeze up, and this is where we rely on the experiences of others. This is where we get our certificates of insurance from other companies who are going to provide services to spread the risk and to, make sure that we're all doing all the right things here. I would say that, when you get a weather forecast that's forecasting, very, very low numbers, or with the wind today up here in New England, it can be as much as 10 below up here with the wind today. But just look at what's happening with climate change to the southern part of the country. It's and people are losing their minds because this does not normally happen. And that's understandable, but this is where the proactivity comes into play. So getting these calls into your vendors, I would do that. Like I said, when I had my multi-state event, I had issues in Boston, in Washington, in Chicago, in Raleigh, all over the country. And, worked closely with all of those vendors in advance to be preemptive. But even with the best of planning, you can't get everything. So, if something goes wrong, as my wife likes to say in her trainings, don't shoot on yourself. We should have done this, we should have done that. Just take it as a learning experience and move ahead and make it better next time.
So I just wanted to share the sentiments of the gentleman earlier. I didn't catch his name, but when he was talking about the water leak and all. So we went through Hurricane Ian down here in the Fort Myers area, the part of our market. And, one thing that lots of times we seem to forget is the people that are on site are the ones that are affected, as well as our residents, and their homes may be destroyed and they may not be able to get to the property and all. So then we have to bring support teams in from outside, and they have no familiarity with the property at all. Right. And we had properties where we had, water shooting straight up in the air because a tree got ripped out of the ground and it broke a water main. And I cannot emphasize the site maps with shutoffs and all that enough. We as a policy, as part of our safety and maintenance manual, we require every property to have a site map on site with all those identified, and it's all color coded. It's something that's very easy to put together. If you're a newer property, it's as simple as grabbing your site utility map from your PPE company. MEF, and just little dots to indicate water shutoffs, little dots to indicate photo controls, fire sprinkler, riser rooms, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also upload that to a shared server. So if in the event we need to help facilitate from offsite remotely, we have the same exact drawings available to us. Just a recommendation. The other thing I wanted to mention is education. It seems like everybody keeps mentioning education a lot, and I can't emphasize it enough either. And, so we started doing a lot more in-house training. Over the last couple of years, it's been very difficult to get, we do both fee management and we own our own sites. And it's been very difficult to get permission from ownership to allow people off-site to do training. They just, not only ownership, but management, they just don't want to let the guys go. They don't want them off-site. So we started implementing what we call the road show, where we travel around to each market and we get the guys and we do our own training with our support staff. And I would love to see a lot more training and options, not only through the apartment association, but through other groups. And I know several of our universities, especially state colleges down here, have now started an associate of science degree program specific for apartment maintenance. And that has just rolled out within the last couple of years. And we've hired some great candidates from Valencia State College and Palm Beach State College. And then finally, the last topic, as far as, we're battling this now in Florida, northern Florida. I got a property in the Panhandle that's got 7 inches of snow on the ground, and they're all like freaking out because, it's been 30 some years since we've had to deal with this. And then the cold temps as well. We went through a similar situation in North Carolina last year with frozen sprinkler risers and broken pipes, and we vowed we'd never do that again. So we've implemented a program where we've installed radiant heaters in all the riser rooms for the sprinkler systems. Now that doesn't fix every problem because lots of times we have power go down, grids cycling on and off because of heavy energy usage. But we've facilitated and we've located some great battery operated products that are radiant heaters that you could put in the rooms in place of radiant heaters that are electric operated. So we've purchased several of those and we keep them for our sites based upon region, and we can move them around as necessary. I've really tried to err to the side of caution when it comes to draining our sprinkler systems, for obvious reasons. And you're talking about fire watches, but more importantly, a fire watch is not as effective as having a live sprinkler system. And the last thing we ever want to do is put our residents in jeopardy. So I prefer, proactive in addressing it as opposed to, having to drain the systems down or the buildings down. But
Steve, I know you wanted to intervene.
Just to similar topic to piggyback on what Scott was saying to the gentleman that asked the question. Up north, the question was up north, when do we get asked, a company like ours, to drain the pipes? 18 years, I don't recall it ever happening once. When there wasn't damage yet. But 2 weeks ago, there was a fire that we dealt with where they closed down one wing to the apartment building, and everyone had to evacuate, still evacuated. At that point, we knew it was going to be, 20 degrees. It was a few weeks ago. And we drained all the pipes and winterized the pipes. So that's what happened there. The perfect recipe, weather recipe for lots of broken pipes up north goes like this. It happened February 4th, 2023. Wind chill factor of 34 below zero for 12 hours. That's it. Next day, 50 degrees and very windy because the pipes freeze and then there's this expansion. They're all going to freeze. But if it goes from 34 below is true, but that's not common. Let's just say 8 below, and the next day it's 0, and the next day it's 20, and the next day it's 26. We're not going to get the same impact from the weather. But if it goes from that below 0 and all of a sudden it's 50 degrees and windy, they all break. Sprinklers, pipes. That's when it happens. For down south, right now as we speak, I know what's happening there, but not like you guys. You have sites that you're responsible for. If it goes from, let's say it's 20 and it goes to 28 and 33 and 42 without huge wind, you're going to be better off than if it spikes up to 66 degrees in Panama, Panama City or New Orleans. That could create a lot of havoc. So it really depends on that.
And our issue is really, we were built, we have properties that are 20 something years old. Insulation is compressed. It wasn't insulated well to begin with because we didn't have this type of weather very often at all. Right. And now we're fighting to get insulation and beefed up. But of course, we're getting pushback because we're looking at, $150,000, and we keep on trying to fight that battle. But we do have, sprinkler pipes that are in the attic that are not well protected at all. And it's just, trying to convince them to spend the money. So we're kind of in that middle ground. What do we do? So you're protecting yourself against water or fire, and you have to make that choice, and it's a sucky choice to have to make, but that's what we're dealing with. So thank you guys. Appreciate your input.
150, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than $1 million insurance claim.
Exactly.
And having units off market for like 6 months to a year or maybe more than that. Jake, you're up next, sir.
So you made comment about the water protection systems that they have, and usually they offer pretty significant insurance rate decreases and stuff because it's like preventative maintenance and stuff. I have to tell you, on the site level, I've been to 3 properties now where I've gone through the legs of having everything inspected for that system. And usually the ownerships turn it down because the upfront cost has just been, more than they wanted to. Even on my 40-story high rise, same thing. It was just like in the end, the cost to upfront, they were just not willing to part with that in the moment. So I think I'm actually getting to work with one of our for our ownership now for developing a new property, and I'm hoping that these kind of things can be implemented at construction when they have a little bit more of that free money that's not tracked for, I say free money, is tracked as much as they are like once you hit the budget. But that's kind of my goal here for, it's nice that we're kind of being involved on the site level for these new projects. So, and then one other thing that I've known, and we've talked a lot about education and everything too. I know on the site level, just team engagement is huge for preventing these types of things, because a lot of times product is showing where it's going to have issues, minus the ones we can't, foresee. The product will tend to show things. So keeping your employees engaged and really deputizing them instead of delegating so they feel like it's theirs, I've noticed has helped quite a bit in that end of things, of just making them more engaged and staying true to the product and stuff, so they feel like it's theirs instead of, they're just there for a paycheck. And then also the other thing that I've started, and it's a little bit more beyond just like having the location shutoffs and stuff like that, but it's like a property manifest. I've been on a property that, was 20 years old, and there's things that it would be nice if the knowledge was passed down. So starting basically like landmarks in history in the property and stuff, like, hey, this is where this leak happened and stuff like that. So that way the next maintenance guy who comes to this property, they can look back through and see all of the major landmarks, because a lot of the times issues are going to happen where they happened before, if in like certain scenarios. So it's nice to have that type of stuff. So a little bit beyond just that emergency plan, but just all of that property knowledge that like we end up having on site because we're there day to day, is getting that into like that manifest, and then it can be passed on. I think as a group, though, what we need to make sure that we're doing in the maintenance realm of things is the next guy, even if it's another property management company, we have to care about the buildings because our names are attached to them. So my goal is when I walk away that people aren't walking into a rat's nest, So if we can all start to develop that team and have our guys develop that, where it's like we care about the property, maybe it's not going to end amicably every single time, but let's make sure that the next guy coming in has that, really good information that will help prevent all of this stuff in the future.
Jake, that's great. And I do want to mention, I actually know of a company that does prevention, installs all sorts of sensors like, fire prevention, freeze prevention, everything prevention, right? I want to put you in touch with them. And this goes for all of you. If you come to a point where, you're looking at solutions like that to prevent, and they feel very expensive, I'm happy to put you in touch with, some folks that I know that I think that their solutions are affordable. Like they really are, right? They're the sensors that they use, they're a few dollars a piece, right? They're not something incredible that you won't be able to touch it. Oscar, I'd like to get your takes on what's going on in California, and maybe some lessons learned, maybe maybe if we could help in any way out there. I mean, I know that me personally, like, it's not a whole lot that I could do, but we have the three gentlemen out here from from restorations companies that they're this is what they do for a living, and just kind of like get a pulse. You're the closest to the disaster that's actually in progress, that's still happening out there. So just share some thoughts with us.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, when you see what you're watching on TV, it's not really close to really what's going on until you go physically and see it. It's worse than you think. For example, yesterday, my wife works in a high school. She's in education administration, and she was telling me about how, for example, the city, some of the a towing company, a person that came to pick up his kid was a towing company, and all of a sudden they got a phone call. Right, they got a phone call from a rare number stating, "Hey, we need everybody." I mean, somehow some government agencies were calling people from wherever and try to get towing companies to go there to remove vehicles. And when they did, unfortunately, some of them you were still finding human bodies. It's sad to say this. This is what's going on. And right now we're facing fires. Right now it started yesterday again, and now very close to me, maybe 20 miles. There's a place right now on fire. There's another one south. So this is uncontrollable right now. It's really tough. Now we're seeing the mistakes, right? What do we see right now when we're looking at risk management? what's going on. One of the things that is being said right now is, for example, that 70 fire extinguishers of the outside that were on the street were not working the time that the fires were happening. So somebody, unfortunately, when city officials do budgets and reduce, this is what it affects, right? If it affects when they do budget cuts, it should be the opposite. Prevention should be the priority number one. And what they did is, and it's going to be politicized and whatever, but the reality is that certain things were not in place. That's what we're seeing right now. Now, like I mentioned, it's been 3 weeks. Some of our colleagues in the industry are facing loss of homes too. So we're trying to help. That right now, volunteering work. There's a lot of volunteer work right now. A lot of volunteer people willing to do that. Now, what we need is money. And maybe I don't mind. I will share a link that I have. If you guys don't mind, if it's $10 right now, what people are going for, they're having a hard time. They need gift cards. They need to be able to have that because they need to be able to eat. There's a lot of people that are misplaced. Remember, right now in California, we already have a homeless situation, correct? Imagine all of this. You add this up, and it is becoming more difficult. And a lot of people, the other challenge that we're facing is, for example, price gouging. Hotels, people are taking advantage. And people are taking advantage of some people misfortune, and they're trying to take advantage. So right now, the cities and some of the state are coming in and reminding us not to do that. So let's say great things are happening. I want to talk about the positives. Yeah, out of all these mistakes and everything that is going to be something that we're eventually going to come to learn, right, about the deficiencies of the fire hydrants and all those things. Also, at the same time, there's the good things. The good things, a lot of people are feeling united. They're working together. They're helping one another. That's the good thing. That's what's happening. But it's been terrible. And it's been terrible because it's happening for the last 2 weeks. And now we're dealing with all of these new extra fires. And then now, probably on the weekend, we're going to be facing rain. And now we're dealing with mudslides. Okay, so now, like I said, it's a combination of a lot of things that are happening, but the unity of the community is strong, it's good. But I wonder how things are going to come afloat, how they're going to do that, and how fast they're going to react in trying to get this resolved. So this is kind of like the challenges that we're facing, everything happening at the same time. And like I said, there's also, this is where it's a good thing for us to talk about this. There's another association, I think it's National Hispanic Constructionist Alliance. They came out with something in LA County last Thursday for people to go in and have a coffee shop and start talking about how they're going to be able to support the people that have lost their homes, because there's also contractors that are going to try to take advantage, okay, that are going to be doing the price gouging. So there's a lot of things happening at the same time. There's a lot of unity within the community, but there's also those that are trying to take advantage, and this is where we all come up here and try to learn from this. It comes with the best of human beings, but unfortunately, sometimes there's also bad apples out there that are gonna make it more difficult. So those are the challenges that we're facing right now. It's something that would never happen for a long time. It's the most expensive disaster, probably because of the price of the homes, right, that they lost to here in the area. And it's interesting to see how what are gonna be the outcome of this at the end within the next 5 years. What are we gonna learn from this? Because like I said, it's very misfortunate right now. It's very unfortunate, but the whole community is trying to keep strong and work together. The winds are getting stronger. Everything's getting hard. And in addition to that, knock on wood, but we're also in earthquake weather, right? We're in an earthquake area, so we're always facing challenges. But I hope that as a community, the good thing is that we're keeping ourselves strong. We're helping one another, but we're also keeping an eye for those that are trying to take advantage.
Oscar, I'm glad that I had you speak, brother. My heart goes out to all of those that are affected out there. Let's you and I talk on a side. I will probably, if you have the time, I'd like to do like a podcast special with you to talk just about this and put it out there so people could reach out. And also, please email me the information that you mentioned, so I could send an email blast to the entire to all the members of the group to see who could help in which way could help. Gentlemen, I know that most of you probably are ready to jump on on the next call. So we're gonna conclude here for the day. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank to our special guest for being here. It's been an amazing conversation. Unfortunately, we know that we have other things too, but an hour is never enough. Maybe we'll do a series too. And 2 weeks from now, remember, we're gonna do an education meeting, and it's gonna be great. I have some really great special guests coming, and obviously all of you have great input out here. So I appreciate you all. Have a great rest of the day and have an amazing rest of the week. Take care.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you very much.